All right, this is a video that will be covering Chapter 13 of Groundwork for a Better Vocabulary. You can open up your book to page 98 if you want to follow along there. So here's the words for the chapter. We can just read through them and try to make a guess at the parts of speech by any clues there. So we have agonizing, energetic, foresight, interval, strive, substance, the clue here is the ANCE, tolerance, again we have ANCE, trait, and withdraw. So the only ones we probably should be able to guess are substance and tolerance. Well, let's go through that. All right, here's our first one, agonizing, and this one is an adjective. After hours in the blazing sun, the hikers felt an agonizing thirst. I felt sorry for my sister as she made the agonizing decision to end her marriage. So in this case, what agonizing means is very painful. So if we look at the first example, after you've been in the sun for a long time, if you don't have water, you'll feel very thirsty, but not just very thirsty, painfully thirsty. In the second example, if you were going to get divorced, it's not an easy decision. Even if you're very unhappy in your marriage, there's lots of things that you're going to be changing, and it will be a very painful decision. So on page 99, agonizing is number 5. It says causing great physical or mental pain. So agonizing can be either physical, like in the first example, where agonizing thirst, or it can also be mental, like when you're making a decision, in this case, when you're making a decision, but it really is painful to make that decision. Agonizing is also connected to the word agony, which is a noun, which just means a lot of pain. Okay. So moving on to our next one here, this is energetic. The energetic soccer game left all the players tired and hungry. At the age of 70, my grandmother is still energetic enough to go for a long, fast walk every evening after dinner. So what energetic means is lively and active. So energetic is, you can see in it the word energy, and it's related to that. Energetic describes something that requires a lot of energy. So to describe someone or something as energetic, it means that it gives off a lot of energy. So in the first example, the energetic soccer game means that people who are playing that game had to use a lot of energy. In the second one, when you're describing the grandmother saying she's energetic, is basically saying that she has a lot of energy. On page 99, energetic's number 3. It's lively, spirited, full of energy. We can also describe it as showing or involving great activity or vitality, meaning that someone is not, if you're describing the person, it means that they're not, that they don't get tired, that they can keep on going, doing something. All right, our next one here is foresight, and foresight is a noun. Jen had the foresight to apply to several colleges, knowing that she might not get into the one she wanted most. People who are always late show a lack of foresight. So foresight means wise planning. Now, if we take a look at this word, we have part of the word that's for, F-O-R-E, and then we have the sight. Now, sight means to see. And what for means, like in the word forward, it's the same thing, means before. So foresight means to see before. So basically, when we're talking about foresight, it's not necessarily wise planning all the time, but it means that you have an idea of what's going to happen, and you make plans beforehand. So one of the things, one of the words we had earlier was we had the word anticipate. Anticipate means when when you're guessing what thing is going to happen to you. So foresight is similar. It means that you think about the future, and as a result, you do something. Do something in regards to it. On page 99, foresight is care in planning or preparing for the future. We can also think of it as the ability to predict or the action of predicting what will happen or what's going to be needed in the future. So in the first example, it's saying this girl had the foresight to apply to several colleges. What she knew is she wasn't going to get into every single one that she wanted, especially the one that she wanted most. So as a preparation, she applied to some other colleges as well. In the second example, it says if you don't have people who are always late, they just never think about what might happen to make them late. So people who are always late who say, "Oh, there is traffic," or "Oh, I had a hard time finding the house." If they're always doing it, they should at some point realize that this is a problem that they need to fix. So if they don't have foresight, it means that they're not thinking about that. Our next one here is interval. The interval, and this is a noun, the interval between Christmas and New Year's Day is only a week. There was an interval of several hours between the births of the twins. In fact, they were born on separate days. An interval in this case means space. Now, that's not the best word to use because it just doesn't mean space by itself. Really what it means, and this is on page 99, number 7, is the period of time between two events. So it's not just space, but it's specifically the space between two things. One of the words we had earlier was frequency, and we said the frequency was the rate at which something happens. So we talked about homework, saying the frequency of homework was on Monday. We said twice a week, on Mondays and Thursdays. But if we were talking about the interval, what we would be talking about is the time between the days that you have homework. So if the frequency is Monday and Thursday, we would say that the interval is, I guess, 3 days, because it depends on how you look at it. It's either 2 days. If you say Monday to Thursday, you have 2 days in the middle. You have Tuesday and Wednesday. If you want to say Thursday to Monday, then you have 3 days in the middle. So you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. But the interval is really talking about the space between two things, the space between two things that are happening. And oftentimes, those two things we're talking about are events. So in the first one, we have Christmas and New Year's Day. We have two events. In the second one, we have the birth of two children. Or the interval between things that are many things that are lined up together. So in the picture, you can see that the 7 trees are planted in a row. So the interval is talking about the space between each one of those plants. Okay, but I would say that the more common use of it is less with the space between physical things, but more the time between different events is when you're more likely to hear it and when you're more likely to use it. Okay. So our next one here is prosper, and this is a verb. The company is so strong that it's expected to prosper even though similar companies are going out of business. Someone who always jumps from job to job is not likely to prosper. And prosper means to do well. Now, you may or may not know the word prosperity, especially if you're a Spanish speaker, and my guess is in French there's probably a similar word. But prosper or prosperity means, good fortune, and normally it has to do with, making money. So prosper, means to do well, but oftentimes it's talking about doing well financially or materially. So, for example, in the first one, the company is going to prosper. It's going to do well. It's going to continue making more money, even though other businesses aren't. And the second one, if you switch from job to job, you're not likely to do well in terms of, having an increased salary or being, have a better position. On page 99, prosper means to succeed, and it says here, especially financially. Prosper can be used to mean to like do well physically, like to grow strong and healthy. But oftentimes it's used, and I say maybe more frequently used with financially or materially doing better. All right, so here's our next word. This is strive. And strive is a verb. Many people strive to become movie stars, but few succeed. Every year, many mountain climbers strive to reach the top of Mount Everest. Okay? And so strive means to make an effort to do something. One of the things that you should keep in mind here is if we look at strive, after it is to, and after that is a verb. So strive means to make an effort to do something. Right? To strive means that you're trying, not just trying in general, but you're trying specifically to do something, to reach some goal. So in the first one, you're striving to become a movie star, right? You're trying to become a film star, a famous film star. In the second one, the thing that they're trying to do is to reach the top of Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. So part of the meaning of strive, and we see this on page 99, number 8, is it means that you're making an effort to do something that's difficult. So in the first one, becoming a movie star, this is not an easy thing to do. Climbing Mount Everest, similarly, is not an easy thing to do. So strive means to make a great effort to achieve or obtain something. It's something that you have to struggle for. It's something that you have to fight for. It's not something that is an easy thing to do. Okay, so moving on to our next one here. This is substance. And substance is a noun. And one of our clues there is the ANCE. These ones tend to be nouns. So gold is such a soft substance that it can be pounded into a very thin sheet. Cat litter does a good job of soaking up spilled substances, such as gasoline or motor oil. So what a substance is a material. So what we mean by this is, by material we mean what is something, what something is made out of. On page 99, substance is number 10, a physical material, a matter of a particular type. What this means when we talk about a substance is we're talking about something, what something is made of, but it means that it's all the same part. So for example, if we can say that gold is a substance, because if we look at a piece of gold, it's all made out of gold. But we can't really say that a car is a substance, because a car is made up of many different parts. Similarly, we can say gasoline is a substance, because I guess that's probably a little bit more complicated. But it's all made out of the same thing. Motor oil, we talk about it the same way, that the motor oil is all sort of made out of the same thing. It's not a variety of different things. So other substances that we can talk about are like wood, water, what else could we say? Iron, metals. We think these are substances. They're a type of material where the majority of it is all the same, where it's not, there's not a lot of difference to the parts of it, is what we're saying with a substance. So moving on to the next one is tolerance, and tolerance is also a noun, and we have this one also ending in the ance suffix. The teacher is known for her tolerance. She encourages students to speak freely in her classroom, even when their ideas differ from hers. Because of the Johnsons' tolerance, their son-in-law's different religion is not a problem for the family. So tolerance in this case means respect for others. On page 99, it's number 2, respect for differing views, practices, and characteristics of others. Lack of prejudice. Okay, so tolerance, the important thing about tolerance is that it means that you're respecting someone that is different than you. And oftentimes it's someone who has an opinion or a belief that is maybe opposed or against what you believe. Tolerance comes from the word tolerate, which is a verb. And tolerate means to accept or put up with something that is unpleasant for you. So when we're talking about tolerance, we're often talking about when you're willing to accept opinions or behavior that you don't necessarily agree with. So, for example, in the first case, the teacher is known for her tolerance, means that even when people have opinions that she doesn't agree with, that she accepts them. In the second one, their son-in-law's different religion, they don't really accept that religion, meaning that they don't believe in that religion, but they're still respectful. They're still respectful of it. So this is one of the things I think that it's a principle in general about the United States, is that there's a lot of tolerance for people who are different, who have different religions and different views on things. Not everybody has tolerance, but in general there is a lot of tolerance in the United States, in my opinion. All right, so here's our next one, which is trait. And trait is also a noun. My best friend's nicest trait is her ability to laugh at herself. My worst trait is always worrying about what people think of me. And what a trait is, personal quality. We can also think about it as a characteristic of someone. And oftentimes it's a noticeable characteristic. It's something about a person or a thing or an animal that may not define the person, but is noticeable. On page 99, it's number 1, a quality or feature as of personality for which a person is known, right? So this is getting into the sense of that it sort of defines the person, or it's something that's very obvious or clear about the person. So in the first one, the trait of the friend is her ability to laugh at herself. It's something, in this case, it's something good, right? In this one, a bad trait is always worrying about what people think about me. Oftentimes we use trait for people, right? Meaning that it's a characteristic belonging to a person. It can be used with other things too, but it's a word that is often used to define people, right? So here it says personal quality. All right, so moving on to our last one, which is withdraw. Okay, and this one is a verb. When Warren realized he was working Thursday, he had to withdraw his offer to babysit for his sister's kids. When I saw a large spider on my desk drawer, I withdrew my hand and decided to find a pen somewhere else. So withdraw means to take back. All right. So in these two sentences, we have two meanings of withdraw. In the first one, we have the meaning of to take back, meaning to say the word would be rescind, but basically to cancel an offer to do something for some reason. So basically it's not a physical taking back. It's not you're actually physically taking something. And in the second one, you do have an example that is physical, where you're saying withdraw my hand, meaning that you're physically moving your hand back. On page 99, it's number 4. It says to take back something or a statement, or to remove. Now, withdraw can mean to remove something, but it means that you put it there in the first place. So withdraw has this meaning of that you've put something forward and now you're taking it back. You've given something and now you're taking it back. It's often used to mean to remove or take away something from a particular place or position. So that's the second example, right? Where you withdraw your hand. But it also can mean when you offer to do something, and then you take that offer back. So it can both be physical and also sort of, I guess that would be mental or with words. Okay, so go ahead and do the questions for this and do the online exercises and bring in any additional questions you have to class. Take care. See you then. Bye.